We're here with Kathy Masunis, who has been a Chief Executive Officer and Chief Information Officer in the travel and tourism industry for many years. She at one point was the Chief Executive Officer of Sabre, the first global distribution system in the hospitality industry, and was the CIO of American Airlines. Most recently, Kathy's been very involved in the e-commerce world in both innovations and companies associated with the travel and tourism industry. So Kathy, thinking about the time you actually brought our industry into the digital age, what do you see as some of the major changes or influences which have impacted hospitality distribution?
Well, Dr. Carroll, I think there are really two things. First would be the internet and the World Wide Web, right, which clearly allowed anybody, whether it was a chain or an independent hotel, to get their product visible and shoppable and sellable to anybody in the world. The second one would be, I think, the smartphone. When you think of old cell phones where you could only make a phone call, now you have a platform for distribution where you can sell products, and the user has the ability to have many other components like navigation and GPS to tie in to their planning and shopping and booking.
Kathy, looking ahead, what do you see as some major possibilities or likelihoods that can impact distribution as we look forward, say, for the next 5 years?
I think there are going to be a lot of exciting technologies and solutions that may have been created for other purposes, but will be used in hospitality and tourism. So, for instance, maybe even wearable clothes. You hear that there'll be, GPS location capabilities that might be used by hotel marketers or restaurateurs to know where a potential client is. There clearly is going to be other type of technology, maybe watches. You see today that they're not just telling time, they also have screens that can display information. So from a consumer standpoint, a much more usable type of interaction. So hoteliers and the tourism industry, I think, has a lot of opportunity relative to the technology that's coming up.
So thinking about the answers that you've given before, do you see any differences geographically in terms of distribution, changes or trends? And second, with regard to organization in our industry, which is a combination of independent properties and properties which are major parts of major chains?
Well, that's quite a question, Bill. Basically, I think the whole tourism industry and travel sector needs to look at segmentation a little bit differently.
Yes.
So when you talk about geographic issues, you look at the statistics relative to, for instance, Chinese travelers. So every inbound, destination or property or, whatever slice you want to take of this has to be aware that they need to change their distribution relative to different inbound geographic conditions. I think, some of the other things that are happening, and this is chains as well as independents. You have ecotourism and you have medical tourism. You have all different, opportunities and segments that are expanded from just, business or leisure or old people or young people. So I think all those things that are coming up, need to be considered and thought about.
Now, how about the relationship, say, between independent properties and properties which are a member of chains? Is there different challenges that those companies face?
There are definitely different challenges, and I think it's kind of good news and bad news for each of them. Chains obviously have the ability and sometimes financial resources to, tailor what they want to do, whereas independents are more constrained by buying, products or services. So I think, that's one difference. I think on the other hand, independents have the ability to be a little bit more nimble, than some of the chains do, and therefore, as I say, they're kind of pros and cons on either side.